All right, so Weekly Takes is now on a new night, as you can see by this publishing. It's Monday nights, typically sometime in the middle of the evening, but either way, Sundays it was just not working out. That was historically when I always published it, but with my streaming schedule, I'm on Kick Saturday and Sunday evening, starting about 8:30 and then running to about midnight. And the problem is that I would have to cut into some of the other things I'm doing throughout the day to be able to record and then get it published and have it up. Plus, I'm already doing content that night, and essentially I like the idea of having content on like every different night of the week. So Monday nights is typically a night off for me from streaming, so that kind of works as a day to publish. Lets me like get through the whole weekend and everything and have other takes about things. So here we are, Monday night. Weekly Takes. The first thing I'm going to talk about is going to be, of course, Welcome to Rockville. That happened over this weekend. See, another reason why everything kind of wraps up over the weekend. 4 days, I did not get to go. I actually have my wristband. I had a pass for the Saturday show, of course, when Linkin Park was going to perform. A lot of other great bands were going to be there, too. It was Dayseeker, Incubus, and I mean, obviously, I'm not mentioning everybody. I don't have a list in front of me, but there were you're just dozens of fantastic bands on like 5 different stages. You're talking over 4 days, over 200,000 people were there for last year. I'm sure this year is going to break that. Like when you see the photos and video clips, obviously my main interest is Linkin Park, but Korn was there, and it's huge, man. Like it was huge. Green Day was there. And that place is so monstrous and just absolutely packed to the brim with people. There's carnival rides, there's food. It's like they build a small city for this thing. And I feel like it's getting on par with some of the other, like some of the biggest rock festivals around the world. Europe has some crazy ones too. It's obviously the biggest one in the US or in North America. But I missed out, but the footage I'm seeing is spectacular. And my hope is, kind of like with Sonic Temple a couple weeks ago, there were a lot of people trashing the fact that Linkin Park was headlining Sonic Temple. And afterwards, across social media and Reddit and everything, that kind of changed. Like, people really liked their performance. They were like, wow, I wasn't expecting this. Emily was fantastic. The band sounded great. Really good performance, basically. So a lot of people kind of got, that exposure, and it kind of changed their mind a bit. And I'm hoping Rockville did that. Obviously, a lot of people were there for Linkin Park. Like, that crowd was packed. Saturday, apparently, and I don't know if this happened for Sunday, too, because Korn is huge, right? Korn is a big deal. But for Saturday, they ran out of wristbands to let people in for general admission and had to start using wristbands to sell, like, new tickets, basically, for, like, previous days where they had leftovers. So, obviously, I had one, so I'm sorry. But I had pre-ordered the ticket 6 months ago, fully intending to go, but I did not end up having transportation to be able to get there. Hopefully that changes by the time they do like an actual North American tour and have multiple stops in Florida, not just the big festival. Because I believe this is technically it was like wrapping up, I think, the North American leg of the world tour or something like that. If I remember, I'd have to check. But either way, it's the only stop they made in Florida. And Florida is a big state, and there is a big rock music community here. There's 24 million people in the state. So I would expect that when they do an actual dedicated North American tour where they have dozens of dates around the country, that Florida would get a couple stops at least. And by that time, I'm hoping to be in a better position. But yeah, Rockville, huge deal. Next year will probably be even bigger. I swear they're going to end up getting to a point where they have to do a full extra day or something. I don't know, because it's just so many people and the demand is so huge. So kind of cool to see. 7 years, that's all it took, and this thing blew up. So congrats to Welcome to Rockville. Congrats to all the great bands that were there, the fans that got to experience it, and of course, Linkin Park. So I hate to do the whole it's current year thing, but it is in fact 2025. And there are still games out there, and these are popular games, well-known games, well put together games that do not have crossplay. Now, don't take that wrong. If you've listened to this channel on any level or seen my commentary about anything on any level, you know that I actually am not a huge fan of crossplay in a lot of multiplayer games. Yes, it is nice to be able to like play with a PC friend on Warzone, for instance. But crossplay in many situations introduces a disparity, not only in control scheme, because you obviously got the crackheads that are using mouse and keyboard and doing their thing, but there's also the bots and exploits and hacks and all that stuff, which, yes, there are things that can occur on console, but consoles are a much more of a closed environment, right? Whereas PC is far more open. You can manipulate the software and add things, a lot easier. And all these programs have like anti-cheat and stuff like that, but it doesn't seem to work. Anyways, so in many situations, I'm not an advocate of crossplay. However, in any kind of PvE game, in any kind of co-op game, anything where it's not necessarily me versus another person competitively, I do feel like crossplay is incredibly important. I feel like it's one of the reasons why Elite Dangerous died, other than like the developers randomly decided to just not care anymore. But they never enabled a true crossplay in that game, which allowed the communities to combine and survive and possibly grow and flourish. The bulk of players in Elite Dangerous were on PC, sure. But you also had a lot on Xbox and PlayStation. Like, you had console players who were very dedicated to this game. I was. Like, when I got access to the game, I think it came to Game Pass or something back in 2021. I'm pretty sure. I don't think it was 2020. But either way, one of those 2 years, it came to Game Pass. And I played hundreds of hours of it. I loved it. I didn't care about the grind or I enjoyed it. I don't care about the complaints. I thought it was a great way to simulate the concept of working in space as essentially like a space trucker or a space bounty hunter or just a straight up explorer. So many things that you could do in that game that had such a realistic feel. And it was internally consistent. I loved the travel time. I loved the fact that it was a one-for-one recreation of the Milky Way galaxy based on as many real locations and events that we know of, and simulating the rest based on the conditions we know of. So fantastic in so many ways. But they never enabled console players to play with PC. In fact, I don't even think there was crossplay between the two consoles. And by keeping it restricted like that, yes, it was a shared universe where you impacted like political and economic events, but otherwise it was like completely disconnected, and that really hurt that game. And there's other games too, and today specifically, because my friend Pwnstar, you should check him out on Twitch, was talking about Dead Island 2. And I remember being really disappointed when I played that because it's on Game Pass. And when it first came to Game Pass, I checked it out. Dead Island was an awesome experience back in the day. And Dead Island 2 is really, really great. It's like everything Dead Island 1 was, but better, more polished, more fun. And it does not have crossplay. And this is, of course, a co-op style game, right? You could either play it by yourself or you could play co-op with somebody else to work through it, and that's incredibly fun. And this does not have crossplay. It doesn't even have crossplay between consoles. It only has generational crossplay. So like you could play against somebody or with somebody on Xbox One if you're on Series, PS4 if you're on PS5, and between like the various stores on PC like Steam and Epic or whatever. It's really disappointing because like he brought it up as potentially something to play maybe on stream, and that would be a really fun streaming game. I play on Xbox. And so it's really weird to me that in those cases we don't have crossplay like right off the bat, especially because that's a fairly well received popular game that's done well financially. So I started YouTubing about 5 years ago. I think most of you probably know that or don't care or whatever. I started streaming a few years ago as well on YouTube, and then occasionally from my Xbox I would play games, but I didn't really take it seriously. This year I started really digging into it across all the platforms. I have like 2 nights a week on Twitch, 2 nights a week on Kick, and then a night on YouTube, and then whatever else randomly I want to do between. Either way, out of all of them, Twitch is cool, and Twitch has the potential to reach a lot of people. It's a very entrenched platform, but it's also really big. YouTube is obviously the world's like second largest website, obviously the biggest when it comes to video content. However, so it's nice to have access to that, and you can do everything there. With YouTube, you can do shorts, you can do community posts, you can do actual like regular edited content, long form, short form, whatever it is. You can do live streaming. Like, it's by far the most versatile platform. It can do everything. But when it comes to streaming in particular versus all the other stuff, it's actually pretty difficult to get noticed on YouTube, because there isn't the same categorization that there is across like Twitch and Kick, for instance. And I really like Kick. Kick opens things up very quickly for creators to start, building a community, subscriptions and things like that, and having like channel emojis or, all that kind of cool stuff. But with Twitch as well, the two of them, you're very discoverable, because that's what the sites are for. That is your content, right? There is nothing else, is streaming. So people are there to find streams. Whereas on YouTube, I feel like they almost have to either accidentally find your stream because of the algorithm and things like that, or they already have to follow you and follow your content and like what you do, and then, you also stream, and then they can watch you on that. That's like essentially how I've discovered everybody that I watch stream. There's a couple people I watch their streams consistently. There's Ricky Berwick. There is Ryan Hall, y'all, which is like a weather thing. And then there's Putter, Putther. Putter plays like GTA Online and GTA role playing. And I didn't know he live streamed for the longest time. I didn't know that was what he was. That's not how I found him. I found Putter because he had some videos of his GTA role playing that I ended up enjoying, and then like randomly saw, he's streaming. And that's how streaming discoverability is basically on YouTube. So as much as I love the platform, like in the sense of like what it can do and the versatility, and there's good communities there as well, with Kick and Twitch, and in particular, I like Kick. I like the format and the way it's set up. It's just hard to be found as someone who wants to do streaming. You have to have other stuff going first, it feels like. And then the algorithm knows what you are and how to suggest you to people. And then maybe they follow you because you're edited content, and then see that you do live streams. But it's something I would love to see them perfect. Maybe they could even have like a separate app, or at least a separate section of the YouTube app, but just YouTube streaming or YouTube Live or something like that, right? Where you just go there and that's all it is. And the discoverability is built on nothing but that. You don't see other content at all. You don't see the other content from channels unless you go to the channel and look for it. It's just live streams, whether that's the vertical short style ones or the regular horizontal. Either way, for the world's biggest video platform, and the versatility, the money, all that kind of stuff, the resources, that's like one of the biggest things I think they could do to improve and really get like the streaming game going. Obviously, it's already successful. They make a lot of money. There's people there that are successful at it. But discoverability, if you want to grow that side of it and allow us as creators to grow in that side of it, they really need to improve that.